Welcome to the Future of Real Estate, your chance to find out what's going on in real estate and the real estate market. This morning's show is brought to you by the Ellis team at RE/MAX Realty Group. RE/MAX's award winner for most transactions in Florida.
With the Ellis team at RE/MAX, it's a family affair. Always call the Ellis team, they'll handle you with care.
Welcome to the Future of Real Estate. I'm Brett Ellis of the Ellis team at RE/MAX Realty Group. Don't forget, you can always call us at 239-489-4042 and speak with any member on our team. And don't forget, our website is topagent.com. At topagent.com, you can search for listings, you can read our blog reports, search the MLS, take virtual tours of all our properties, and all kind of good stuff. Topagent.com, probably the number one website you need to know for Southwest Florida real estate. With us today, we have a special guest. We've invited Adrian Jacobs from Home Bank. Is it Home Bank Home Loans?
Home Bank.
Home Bank, all right. And I wanted to bring Adrian in because not only is he a fantastic lender, but he's got a new company that can do some things in this market that a lot of other banks we've been having problems doing. So we're really excited to have him on because there's some new and exciting things. Why don't you tell us about a couple of those things, Adrian?
Well, Brett, for one, 95% loan to value, meaning borrower only has to put 5% down on a primary for a conventional 30-year fixed loan. That hasn't been available in probably almost 3 years now. Or, for example, we've got a 10% down, 90% second home loan to value program with mortgage insurance as well.
Well, I think a lot of the lenders, you need at least 20% down on a second home. That's what we've been finding. Or even more, some of them 30%. So you're saying you've got 10%?
10% down on a second home. That's correct.
So you've got 5% down. You've got FHA, which is 3.5% down.
FHA is 3.5% down, but remember, the FHA 90-day seasoning requirements, we no longer have that requirement.
So let's explain what that is. In the past, if you buy a property and you want to flip it, or maybe you make some improvements to it and whatnot. So let's say you buy a property for $70,000 and you put $8,000 in it, so you've got $78,000 in it, but you are able to sell it now for $95,000 because we got people doing that in this market. And with FHA, if it went over a certain percent, you had to wait 90 days. They called that seasoning. What you're saying is you don't have that 90-day requirement anymore.
No, we do not. FHA had actually lifted that a few months ago. None of the lenders have actually lifted the overlay on it. We can do that loan without the 90-day seasoning period for FHA.
Okay, now talk to me a little bit about interest rates so we get an idea of where they are right now. And also, I want to get into the underwriting and the appraisals because I've had an issue with some other banks, and I just want to find out how that's working for you at Home Bank.
Great point. Right now, today, Brett, interest rates are right around 4.875 on a 30-year fixed conventional mortgage.
So that's pretty good. Now, talk to me about the underwriting process because, you know, for our viewers out there that may not understand, what we've been seeing is they go to this like clearinghouse for underwriting and a clearinghouse primarily for these appraisals. And then these appraisals come back and they don't all make sense. And there are appraisers we don't get to talk to, and I don't know, it's just been a mess. We've been fighting, you know, this kind of thing. And how's it been working for you now?
The appraisal process is not as bad as all of the big lenders have made it out to be, Brett. I think a lot of them have put a lot of guidelines in place to try to prohibit as much as possible any type of influencing with the appraisers. I've got access to my appraisers directly. I can give them a call. I can talk to them. I can reach out to them. I can't influence value, but we can talk to the appraisers. The agents can speak with the appraisers.
See, Adrian, I think that was the big misconception in the business because everyone thinks that people were manipulating appraisers, and I'm sure there was some of that in some places. But a lot of times, it's just seeking information. Like, did you realize it has this? Did you realize it has that? The appraisers aren't always from the area. They're not always familiar with each community. They're not always familiar with what options are included and what kind of value maybe the developer, what kind of premium was put on, you know, this pool or this lake view or that sort of thing. And it's just helpful to gather information. It's also nice to find out what comparables they use because they might have been, like Whiskey Creek, for example. You had the custom home section and the U.S. home section. And appraisers, 30 years later, don't always know the difference. So they would take comps from one side or the other, not knowing that there was There always was, always has been, and probably always will be a value difference. And if you don't know that, it makes a big difference on your appraisals and can cause them to be off substantially. So I think it's just information seeking and finding out what they used, and then once you find out, you can correct things. And I don't think that's influencing value. It's just seeking information and giving information and trying to get to what's real.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point too, Brett. That clearinghouse situation where you order the appraisal and then the clearinghouse selects an agent to go out and do the appraisal.
You mean an appraiser?
The appraiser.
Right. Okay.
So now you've got an appraiser that's going out to look at a property that could potentially not even be from the area, which is a huge problem. All of my appraisers are here locally.
I also think some of those clearinghouses were dictating to the appraiser to adjust the value.
They can't dictate per the HVCC code of conduct, but what they can do is they can tell them that they don't like particular comps that have been used. And they can ask them to use a different comp.
The highest comp or the lowest comp?
You've just changed your value when you put a different comp into the equation. The other huge thing is that when we do an appraisal, 100% of the appraisal fee goes directly to the appraiser so that they can do their job properly. You've got a clearinghouse giving the appraiser 50% of the actual appraisal fee. You're going to get 50% of the actual work. They're asking them to do the same job for half the amount of money.
Right. And as long as the customer's paying for it, you might as well get the best quality appraisal. And that's where I think appraisers didn't want to spend any time and they'd move right along and they didn't really care. I'd rather have someone that is compensated properly and cares. And so that's pretty good. Anything else going on in the industry we need to know about?
Flood insurance right now is a huge problem.
I almost wish you hadn't brought that up, but why don't we, for 3 times this year, Congress has let the National Flood Insurance Program lapse. And, Adrian, the other day, Congress is looking at adding, for mortgage brokers that have had a foreclosure or short sale, they're talking about not letting them be mortgage brokers anymore. And they're spending all their time reworking, like mortgage brokers are a 4-letter word. And what's really killing the industry is the flood insurance expiring because we can't do loans on properties that need flood insurance. And where are we in Southwest Florida? Pretty much most of Southwest Florida is in the floodplain. So a lot of times you're going to need flood insurance. That's a big thing.
It absolutely is. It's a huge problem right now. And thus the first-time buyer extension and the moving upgrade extension for people that are moving into these homes, and they're looking for these tax incentives to close by the end of the month. Well, a lot of these deals are not going to be able to close right now.
Well, I've heard they may extend that through September, that just the financing portion or the closing portion, not extending the sales contract, and that would be a good thing, especially on these short sales, especially on these financing deals.
And that's a great point. They're supposed to extend it through the end of September. However, we're at the 17th of June. It expires on the 30th of June. So we've got 13 days for someone to make a decision here. So everyone's on pins and needles. This has got to be the worst month in lending history to try to close loans.
Absolutely. But the flood insurance is potentially a bigger deal because it could stop all loans, if we don't get flood insurance. There is a little trick, though, I've learned. If the seller currently has flood insurance, I've heard the flood insurance can be transferred to the new buyer. So that's something to look into that might save some of your deals. So I've had that verified by one person. So something to definitely look into if you've got a deal that's just not going to close. You might want to look at that. It might help save it. So anything else we need to talk about? First time I've had you speechless regarding the mortgage industry. Now, this business has left me speechless a couple times. Someone asked me the other day, they said...
I do. It was my birthday last weekend, Brett. We went up to Longboat Key, Siesta Key, and the beaches were just absolutely beautiful.
Great. Well, tell you what, we're going to have to continue this till next week. You've been watching The Future of Real Estate, presented by the Ellis-Tainment RE/MAX. Don't forget to call us, 239-489-4042. Adrian, you want to give your number quickly?
239-677-7250.
All right, thank you, and stay tuned next week to The Future of Real Estate.